The first gubernatorial candidate we'll hear from is a New Hampshire dad, a business leader, an education innovator, a publicly elected executive councilor, working to create an even brighter future for the people of our state. In 2003, Colin Van Ostern helped launch College for America at Southern New Hampshire University, a nonprofit, fully accredited college that helps frontline working adults achieve a college education with little or no debt. And Colin currently serves on the Executive Council and, of course, is running for governor. Please welcome Colin Van Ostern.
Thank you. How's it going? You can hear me okay? Everyone awake? All right. You get ready to get big money out of politics? All right. Good. So as Dan said, my name's Colin Van Ostern, and I am running for governor to be a voice for the people of New Hampshire. Not the special interests, not the powerful. They have plenty of champions, the people of New Hampshire. So I thought I would start by talking about some of those people who I have worked with and fought for, because to me, that's what this campaign has to be about. I think about people like the kids in my son's 5-year-old kindergarten class. He's just started kindergarten a few months ago in one of half the cities in our state that don't have access to full-day kindergarten right now. Early childhood education, New Hampshire rates 48th or 49th in the country. I think about a woman that I met who's a waitress outside of Keene in a small town called Winchester, who spends her Saturday mornings, like we are spending right now, at the Cheshire County Jail counseling other women about what life without heroin is like, because she's now 14 months sober herself. And she wants a state government that will help bring people together to stem this rising tide. I think about an entrepreneur whose office is a few blocks from here. Every time I see him, his company just went from 10 to 15 employees, and he asked, why can we not get our act together as a state and get passenger rail from Boston up to Nashua and to here in Manchester and maybe even beyond to try to grow jobs and grow our economy? And I think about a woman who wrote me a letter. I serve on the State Executive Council. She wrote me a letter. She's 22 years old. She said, I've never reached out to a legislator in my life before. She's from Langdon, New Hampshire, right near the Vermont border. And she asked, why is it that 3 men on the State Executive Council voted to take funding away that I rely on for my annual exam at the Claremont Planned Parenthood Health Center? Now, for her, I did have an answer, which is that we are a democracy. We have restored those funds once before when this happened. We'll do so again, even if it takes an election to prove it. And I mentioned those stories. Actually, I should mention one last story, because I met a young woman last night, or I saw her last night at the big rally, the 100 Club rally just down the street here with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, and it reminded me of her story. She just started college. She's a freshman at Plymouth State University. And she, like all college freshmen, is full of wonder and fear and excitement, and she doesn't know that she's probably going to graduate tens of thousands of dollars in debt here in the state with the highest in-state tuition in the country and one of the highest levels of student debt. Yeah, maybe she does know, and she's doing it anyway. Now, for me, those stories are what I keep with me more than the statistics and the issues. It's about fighting for the people of New Hampshire. I moved here 15 years ago for a job. I have had an incredible opportunity in the state to work for some great employers. Dan's trying to get me to move over. What? In the spotlight. Oh, in the spotlight. Look at that. Okay. I've had a chance to work at places like Stonyfield Yogurt, a great company that has proved you can be successful and care for your community and invest in causes like the one that we're talking about here today. I've worked at Southern New Hampshire University, where I helped start a new college that Dan mentioned, College for America, dedicated to the idea that students could get a degree without debt. And today, thousands of students are enrolled. 71% are the first in their family to go to college, and 7 in 10 get a degree without taking on any debt at all. That is, yeah. It's worth a clap, thank you. That's a cause that matters to me personally, partly because of my own experience. When I went to college, I ran out of student loans my senior year. I went into the billing office and put about $30,000 in tuition and college costs on my credit card. And I graduated not just with a full set of loans, but with $30,000 in credit card debt. And I got lucky. I didn't break a leg. I didn't get sick. I didn't get laid off. If any of those things happened, I would have gone bankrupt. But I believe that the levels of debt are holding back not just the families and the individuals, but our entire economy. Our students are getting married, our young people are getting married much later, buying homes less often, starting businesses less. All things that we can do something about if we put our mind to it. So let me say something about how I think we need to do that, because one of the most fundamental issues we need to tackle is getting money out of politics. When I ran for executive council, well, first I should say, no one ever dreams of being an executive counselor when they grow up. Most people are a little fuzzy on exactly what the council is and what they do. But I saw that at the time, the special interests were running amok, and the council was not doing what was right for the people in New Hampshire. 4 years ago, two things happened. One, the council shut off all the funding for the first time in 40 years for Planned Parenthood health centers in our state. And second, we had just gotten a great federal grant to look at how to bring passenger rail up to Manchester, and they voted to send the money back to Washington, our own tax dollars, rather than see how rail could help strengthen the economy in our state. And I thought that was wrong. I started running for office. I'd never run for office before, and I did it the grassroots way. I was the first person in New Hampshire history to ever have 1,000 New Hampshire citizens donate to my campaign for executive council. It worked. It's a huge district. It represents a fifth of the state, 265,000 people. I had a competitive primary election, a competitive general election, and we won. We got Planned Parenthood funding restored. We got that rail study done. It now has been extraordinarily successful. It says it'll bring 5,600 new jobs to the area, but we need to stop talking about it and start doing it. And so those are the sorts of issues that I fought for, and I believe as we look forward now, it's critical that we keep our state moving in the right direction. So to put a real fine point on why money in politics matters, our state executive council reviews most of our renewable energy projects in the state. And I'm incredibly proud that 2 months ago we flipped the switch on the largest solar array in the state of New Hampshire in Peterborough. It's 950 kilowatts, roughly. 10 years ago, Stonyfield was the company that at the time put the biggest solar array on the roof of their yogurt plant. At the time, it was 47 kilowatts, so a 20th of the size. But that vote to get that Peterborough solar plant done was a 3-2 vote, a very narrow one. Sometimes we win those votes. We approved projects in Durham recently, and Milton, and Portsmouth, all 3-2 votes, and sometimes we lose. There was a 3-2 vote on a project here in Manchester, New Hampshire. They were going to put a solar array on the landfill, save city tax dollars, generate clean, renewable energy for decades. And I bring this up because my opponent in this race, Chris Sununu, who also serves on the council, has voted against every one of those solar projects that I mentioned. And the reality is we cannot let the oil and gas and energy companies who want to protect their own profits rather than do what's best for the people of New Hampshire drive our policy decisions that will dictate what happens in the next coming decades. So let me end on this, and then I'm happy to take questions if folks have them. I want to end by mentioning something about how important citizen activism is. I saw a speech that Barack Obama gave 9 months ago that has stuck in my head. And he was speaking in Selma, Alabama. I don't know if anyone saw the speech. It was on the 50th anniversary of the March in Selma. So just as a reminder, this is when tens of thousands of Americans marched for civil rights and voting rights. And he stood on the bridge that they marched over and he said, "They marched so that we could run." Now think about that for a minute. He's not speaking in metaphor. This is a black man who is president of the United States of America talking about a civil rights march. They marched so that he could run for president. And he went on, he said, "They marched so that we could run. We must run so our children can soar." He's not saying yes we can anymore. We must run so our children can soar. Those words have been written on my heart ever since. And I believe we all run in different ways. Some of us run by going on a very long walk in very, very cold weather to make a statement about getting money out of politics. Some of us run by donating to causes like that. Some of us run by creating a business in our own community that helps provide good jobs so people can take care of their families. Some of us run by working for a nonprofit or fighting for a candidate they believe in or caring for a family member, or running for office. I'm asking you to run with me in this race. Let's run for our state's future. Let's run for the people of New Hampshire. I believe that together we can do it, and I believe we can create a brighter future. And when I say a stronger economy, I don't just mean the top line gets higher. I mean a stronger economy where everyone has the chance to succeed, no matter what town you're from, no matter what family you're from, where everyone has the chance to succeed. That's what I'm fighting for, and I hope you'll fight with me in this. Thank you very much. Thank you. I see a question in the back. Yes.
You can just go, probably.
I don't know, probably.
Yeah.
I'm Lindsay Hauser with People for the American Way, or on fighting big money in politics. And I wanted to ask, both of the Democratic candidates for president right now have endorsed the Fight Big Money agenda that all of our money in politics groups have endorsed, including public financing, overturning Citizens United, disclosure, or other legislation, and that would be enforcement of campaign finance laws. Is that something that you would endorse as a candidate for governor?
Absolutely, and I think we need to do more on the state level as well.
Thank you.
Another question?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Gordon Allen. I'm co-chair of the Open Democracy. Thank you for coming so much.
Hi, Gordon.
Appreciate it. Part of my question is, my major question is, one of the biggest problems we've had with big money in the state and nationally is the casino gambling industry, and how they've tried to buy off legislators. They've succeeded all over the country. It's probably one of the grossest examples of how big money and crony capitalism kind of converge when we, as a state, we give them a monopoly to do this. What is your position on casino gambling and going forward?
Thank you for asking. One of the amazing things about the pollution that lobbying causes in Concord is that there are causes that even the proponents know aren't going to pass, but there's a tremendous amount of profit by having it be a fight over and over and over and over again. So I am not a champion of bringing casinos into our state. And I have to be honest with you about why. I have no moral objection to gambling. I play poker once or twice a year with friends. But I believe that it is an incredibly fractured market where the benefits that folks have talked about really would not be nearly as high, particularly now that there's a big development being built in Revere just over our border. Now, I appreciate those who have fought for this, and I think many of them do it in good faith because they think we need more revenue in the state, and there are many ways in which we do. But I think you have to look realistically at what the costs are, and the costs are going to be high, and I'm just not convinced that the revenue that we would actually bring is as much as we're being sold on. I think frankly, one of the frustrations I have is that has been one of the single biggest issues in Concord for session after session after session, and we need to move on to things that actually will drive our economy forward. Things like full-day kindergarten and passenger rail and having a state minimum wage, which we don't even have right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, that was actually the last question.
That was the last question. I'm sorry.
But
you want to ask about the pipeline? Okay. I'm going to give 20 seconds because I feel like we just had a great panel and you've got the sweatshirt on. I'm going to try and give a short answer.
Thank you. So now we know, because of the FERC investigation into the transmission charges of ISO New England, transmission and distribution charges, that out of the 17 cents that residential ratepayers pay, that only 5 cents of it is really anything that Kinder Morgan's pipeline or any other pipeline can impact. That means that the 12 cents that's left would still make our electricity rates higher than other regions of the country, than the national average. So I'm asking you now, do you still support the NED pipeline, or are you opposed? Thank you.
I'm not sure what still means because I've never supported it. I'm very proud. I went to the scoping hearing in Ridge and spoke in front of hundreds of people. I think I'm the first candidate for statewide or congressional office in our state to raise the questions that I raised. I have not supported this project, and I won't unless the questions that I and the people in this room have raised are answered. I don't know that they will be, to be honest, because they include things like if you draw a line from Pennsylvania where the gas is fracked out of the ground to Drake at Massachusetts. It doesn't go through the state of New Hampshire. So why is the pipeline coming through the state of New Hampshire? And it includes things like who's really going to pay for the cost. And I'm concerned that I'm concerned that electric ratepayers might actually end up paying for a significant part of the cost. It also includes why we would invest in long-term infrastructure for fracked gas when our whole state energy strategy is about diversifying ourselves away from the most dangerous, most dirty, most expensive fossil fuels. So one of the reasons I've championed solar and renewable energy is because I believe that if you invest in technology instead of fuel, you're on the right track. Fuel will always get more expensive and dirtier and more dangerous to get, and there will be less and less of it. And making a multi-decade investment in that seems like a pretty big problem to me. Whereas technology will always get better and always get cheaper and always get more efficient. And that is where we should be making our biggest investments as a state. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.